Struggling to discuss sex and intimacy with your partner?
Not feeling met, seen, or heard in your relationships?
I'm Janelle.
And I'm Andrea. We're two midlife mavericks sharing our own experiences.
Messy AF and no regrets.
With marriage, divorce, polyamory, and pleasure.
We've learned that when you're brave enough to figure out what you want and ask for it,
with partners, friends, family, and most importantly, yourself,
you'll feel more alive and free.
Question everything, especially your mother's advice.
There's no rom-com formula for this, but don't panic.
Being alone matters. Honey, I can't miss you if you don't leave.
What if your breakup could be your breakthrough?
Our podcast is for brave hearts.
Anyone who seeks or has found the courage to confront their fears and limiting beliefs about breaking societal norms in the spirit of finding their truth.
If you're seeking permission to be brave in your relationships
and want to feel less alone along the way, we got you. Hi, brave hearts. Welcome to Permission to Be Human. I'm Janelle.
And I'm Andrea. And here we are again.
And this is one of our in-between episodes of From the Liminal. We've just completed our season, How to Build a Relationship with God. And our next season that's coming up starting next week is How to Design a Relationship That Works. And the in-between is last week I gave my update of what's been going on since prior to the previous season. And now this is Andrea's turn.
Yeah. Yep, things keep changing.
Things keep changing. And so to mark these episodes as special and different, we'd like to wear our spirit crowns from Sophie Howell and to, just stay connected to our brave hearts to let you know what's going on in our lives. So.
Yeah. And if you know that if you want a spirit crown, you can always go to spiritcrowns.com and get one from Sophie. They look all in all different colors. And it's a little throwback to the beginning of our podcast, which was, a long time ago now, 3 years ago. So, okay, in between, and season 6 is next. So
Andrea, last time I interviewed you, it is right now January of 2026. The last time I interviewed you was September of 2025. That was quite a while ago, and I'm curious how that last quarter of 2025 ended for you.
I think it's interesting how we're measuring time and talking about time. I'm thinking, it was quite a while ago. It's like 3 or 4 months, maybe 3 months ago, which actually doesn't seem like a big amount of time. And yet, the more I grow, the faster things change. Or maybe I'm more aware of them changing, and I'm more attuned to the shift. I guess in the last year, I had a big practice of letting go. I let go of my marriage. I let go of my business that I had had for 16 years. And then prior to that, I'd had it for, 5 to 10 years. And so the culmination of this business was big. I started in 2002. Wow. I let go of my romantic relationship outside of my marriage. I let go of my virtual assistant. And I also, in a sense, let go of my daughter in 2 ways. She got her license, and she now splits time between my house and my ex-husband's house.
Wow.
And then the final thing is that I feel like I also let go of some metaphorical ties to my family, to my immediate, my family of origin. And those are all, that's a lot. Those are all big anchors.
Yes. And I've witnessed you through all of that. And it wasn't like, some of it was obviously conscious and some of it was very intentional, but it was a recognition, last year was the year of the snake, that there was this letting go was, okay, what was the old form of you? And these were all very, very tightly wound parts of you that you let go of.
Yeah. I think it takes, for me, it takes a lot of buildup and anxious preparation to let those things go, Even if I know
Courage.
yeah, and a lot of courage,
Hmm.
right? A lot of courage. Even if I know I need to let them go in 1 month, I need to go through a process of acknowledging that, noticing it, acknowledging it again, noticing it again, being anxious about it, preparing for it, getting the courage up to do it. And that process can take anywhere from 3 months to several years.
Hmm.
And I'm getting faster at doing that. But I think that is one of the big changes I'm feeling now. It's a new feeling. The feeling is being excited for change instead of afraid of it.
Mm.
And the last
And
time,
is that a result of like having let it go all of this, that the feeling you have now is like, okay, that was worth it.
I don't know. I'm not even sure what caused it. I know at this moment that I'm excited for something different. There's some cleanliness, blank canvas feeling about starting fresh. And the last time I remember feeling that was when I went to Costa Rica and thought,
Hmm.
we really wanted that change. And I remember at some point in the 4 to 6 month lead up to leaving, considering in some way, because of something someone said or my daughter's concern, not going, right? And there was this moment of like, oh no, we have to fucking go. Like, we're definitely going. We're not staying here.
Hmm.
Because in my mind, I already knew I wanted that change. I really
Hmm.
was excited for something different. And so I am excited now for this change. And I have part of that is because I have more trust in something new happening, right?
Hmm.
And making space for new delights to come through.
Right. Because you've done it before. Costa Rica showed you that
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
feeling of change, as hard as it was, like you
Yes.
definitely came back a different person that felt more aligned and true to to who you are.
Yes. And I've already seen it this year by letting go of one relationship. I allowed another to emerge. By letting
Hmm.
go of my marriage, I allowed a deeper relationship with myself to emerge. By letting go of my VA, I realized uh, a behavior of avoidance that I had been practicing in not learning how to do things myself and just
Hmm.
putting it off, right? Just be like, oh, I'm not doing that. Um, which, as we
Hmm.
know, originally was
The reason to get a
originally
VA.
yes, it can be thought of, as Chuck Blakeman says, like, can I make sure this is the last time I do this?
Hmm.
Which can be a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
And it also prevented me from learning the new tools of society that I desperately need to know now that I am now learning.
So for all these things that you've let go of, how do you feel today?
I feel sometimes really scared that really scared of what's going to happen next, that I won't be able to do it. But as I just contemplated, oh, would I rather have kept the things that I had before? And the answer is no. Like,
Hmm.
which is very clear. While I would love to still be living full time with my daughter, certainly the other people in my life and the business and the VA were definitely things I would not change.
Hmm.
And so that feels great. Like having had the courage to let go and then be like, oh, I feel more free.
What else has shifted in all the letting go?
I think there's various levels of this. In a small way, we're always searching for the next dopamine hit. Right? We're like, oh, when do I get to have the yummy food? And when do I get to have the treat? And for me, that has been the various, little addictions we've talked about in the past, which for me have been shopping and um, chocolate and food at the most basic level because it's the most accessible. And it can also be pleasure. It can also be an ego boost. It could also be television. But all those things are outside of myself. And one of the biggest lessons across the last 5 years, and especially now, is that those pleasures are temporary and the real pleasure is inside me.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing that, like, going inward to find the peace, presence, happiness, contentment, a word, a word that Kevin uses, has a much more sustainable effect than those other short-term grasps for pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say along with that is that I was really so focused on, as we all are, like on the attachment to the outcome, right? The outcome of like, okay, I'm going to do all this stuff and then this is going to happen. Okay, I'm going to do all this stuff and this is going to happen. And as I teach my clients, the difference between the ego and the calling is that the ego relies on anxiety to survive and the calling relies on space. And the ego is focused on outcome and the calling is focused on the process. I started writing again with no real goal or outcome. And I'm enjoying just writing every morning, even though there's nothing specific I'm creating at the moment. And then I've realized it in my new relationship with my boyfriend, in that because I am not attached to outcome and I don't have a preference for what's going to happen, where we're going to go, what seat we're going to get at the restaurant, how the night's going to unfold, if we brought the right clothing, if we forgot the wine, you know, this happiness and attachment to the outcome was very conditional. And it hasn't always been that way. It's something I've been working on for a long time to let go of that. But it was, in fact, important. It mattered to me in these different situations. And I've made huge strides in that in the last, I'd say, the last 5 years. But most recently, because my boyfriend Kevin and I are so happy being together, that it doesn't matter what we do.
Right.
Right?
You
We
was
can't.
together for 9 months.
Yes. 9 months, and we can just drive around in the truck, or we can go grocery shopping, or we can cook, or we can eye gaze, or we can take a walk, or we can take a trail run, or we can go to an art museum, or we can go run errands. And all of it is so much fun. And so I don't need an outcome. I don't need a destination.
Okay. So what I'm hearing with that is that, like, yeah, there's a feeling that's inside of you being shared with him. And it's really tied to the present moment and to like the connection that you guys have,
Mm-hmm.
which is not, which, and it doesn't matter what you're doing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? In that.
Yeah. We're really both able to tap into the now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know, like, not futurizing is something that you worked on for a
Mm-hmm.
long time, right? Because that
Mm-hmm.
used to be something outcome related or just future related.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, so much less futurizing. Um, I think let's put the new word at the bottom,
Okay.
at the end, and then
Okay.
you can ask me next about another lesson I've been learning, and I'll start going into letting go of form and talking about like my situation with the jobs and stuff.
Okay. Okay. So what's another lesson you've learned?
Well, we've been talking about letting go of form for a long time. Mm, and I find myself saying it to my clients. I find myself saying it to friends. It's really one of my top 10 mantras now. And right now, I am letting go of form about my life in general, my very basic meta life. My life in the next phase is going to look different than I thought it would. And that means I'm making less money. I'm less in control of my schedule. I am trying to go out into the world, at least for some portion of my week, and not be on my screen. Getting a job in the world is something I have not done in 25 years.
Mm-hmm. You've been an entrepreneur that whole time.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, there was no reason for me to go out into the world and get a job. Not at an office, not at a restaurant, not at a store. And now this started maybe about a year ago, and I thought, oh, it'd be good to do something different, right? Just to like get away from my screen, get away from the email nurture sequences and the security codes and the LinkedIn posts and just and I'm also very extroverted, right? I like being around people. And at the same time, I also have 50 I have the schedule of a 50-year-old. So I don't like to go out at night. And I don't like to do more than like two, than 1 to 2 activities per weekend. And so that presents a bit of a conflict. And so I am excited, actually, and like whew, disoriented by the idea of going out and getting a job at a bookstore or a bakery or a restaurant. I want to go out and interact with people and use my hands
Mm.
and be tired, like be a little physically tired instead of mentally tired, maybe both. This is something I don't do on a regular basis, but I know how good it feels when I do it.
Mm.
And it's something I learned early on and still continue to learn from my parents because they are just such hard workers in the mental and the physical sense. They've never been people who sit at a screen all day. They've owned many different kinds of businesses. And in each one of those, they are interacting with the public, they are outside, they're doing things with their hands, they're fixing things, they're covering things, they're stooping, they're leaning, they're reaching. It's all this multiple facets of the physical body. And then in addition, when they're not working, they are painting or grouting or burning or gathering brush or building a rock wall in front of the river or mowing or planting flowers. I mean, it's endless, but that's how they feel alive. And I very much respect that. And I it's something that is missing, I think, from my life. And just
I'm
this
willing to
morning,
bet it's missing
yeah,
from
go ahead.
lots of people's lives. I mean,
Yes.
like here's like listening to you describe that, I'm like, oh wow, like that I can deeply relate to what you're saying of not using my body unless I'm quote unquote going to work out.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's it. I remember my friend Carla, who knew, who I think she grew up on a farm and she's a nutritionist who lives in Denver, but uh, she's very devout to the physicality of her body. She climbs, she lifts, she runs, she works it really hard. And she says at some point she said, there's very little more satisfying than baling hay for 2 hours.
Mhm.
I've never baled hay. One of the books I'm reading is called The Book of Alchemy by Suleika Jawad. And I got the book for Christmas from Scarlett and Boudreaux. I'm not reading much lately, but I am writing every morning by reading an excerpt from some other author and then a journal prompt. And one of the journal prompts this morning was talking about a teacher that you'd had a long time ago and all the basic things you knew about that teacher from having been taught by them. And then writing in a different segment on what you know about them now and what you think about them now and how different that is and how interesting it is. So I looked up one of my old teachers and favorite teacher, Mr. Martin Golby, was my English teacher in high school, really changed my life forever. So grateful to him. And um, something that he gave us when I was inducted into the National Honor Society in high school was a paintbrush. He gave each of us a paintbrush and he said, spruce up, clean up. Like, use this physically or use this as a symbol for you to do something in this town, make it different, make it better.
Mm.
And it was something physical, even though he was a writer, very devoted to the written word and to books. And I learned a lot about writing and reading from him. But here he was telling me to like go out and use my hands.
Mm.
And I
Wow.
loved this. So, yeah, so now I'm like, okay, what if I went out and, you know, waited tables or talked to the public or made bread? How would that feel? Stacked books.
Right. And what is prompting this? Like, is it just like this urge to use your body and that's what's having you go like look for a job? Like, what's the impetus?
The first one is just to get away from my screen. It's really to get
Okay.
away. As I mentioned, like I want to get away from email sequences and LinkedIn and sitting behind my Zoom every day of my life because I work from home. And even if I go to a
Mhm.
coffee shop, I'm still looking at my computer all day. Yeah, and I want to interact with people more. Like I that really lights me up. It's energizing for me.
Mhm.
Um, And I think, okay, so I'll make some extra money doing that and I'll continue my coaching business and see what that's like, see what happens. I also think I'm responding to a societal change. I've worked my whole life, at least since I graduated from college in 1998, when I first worked at a .com as a copywriter, on the craft of writing, the written word, content, editing, editorial management, teaching people to write, helping people write their story, writing poetry. It, it's all about the written word in so many things I have done. And it has always gotten me jobs. It's something I can rely on. It's part of my identity. It's something I bring up to at any moment to friends, to strangers, to colleagues, to clients that like, oh, I can help you with that. Oh, I can do that for you. Because it is definitely one of my superpowers and I've gotten better and better and better at it. And I'm constantly honing that craft, especially because even when I'm not working, I'm writing a thank you note or,
Mm.
I'm writing a letter to someone or writing comes up all the time. And I've always felt good that I could do that. And now I'm in a society where writing has been outsourced to AI.
Mm.
Not entirely, but in a big way. And this is scary. I mean, this is incredibly I can even call it devastating in a way because I thought, oh my gosh, like what happened? Right? Like I worked my whole life on this and I always thought that I would be able to at least teach writing, right? I could always go to like a community college, right? And be an adjunct teacher and make almost nothing, but still I could teach writing. And now I don't know if I can do that. And so this has been just like a huge blow to my livelihood, to my identity, to my ego. And I'm having to think more creatively about what it is I do next and how I'm going to make that money. And if I'm going to launch something new or learn something new or what's that's going to look like.
Mm. I feel like you're speaking so pointedly to the crux that so many of us are in, right? We're in a changing world, a changing civilization. Like what we thought we knew, we no longer know. The rules that we thought we all live by, turns out we don't live by
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, especially when it comes to AI, we hear all the time that there are professions that are going to go away as a
Yeah.
result of AI, and you're saying that your profession is one of them,
Mm-hmm.
um, in to a large degree. And yet, as you described, one of the reasons to go out to look for a job in the world actually
Mm-hmm.
felt so hopeful to me in terms of, oh, you're using your body, like you're going to be doing things differently that had you just been continued writing, right? Like maybe you would never have decided to go do this path, right? So, I know you haven't gotten the job yet, but it's like what I'm hearing is this, it's like an emotional navigation, not only of like a job search, which is so challenging in and of itself, but then also of like an identity of what is my life supposed to look like? What do
Mm-hmm.
I value in myself and in terms of what I'm contributing to the world?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's just a huge shift on my whole identity. I feel like I'm fortunate that I had already started shifting away from writing in a sense because I started coaching a few years ago and really enjoyed that and had done so much personal growth that I thought I had, I think I have a lot to teach other people. And so that had been a conscious shift away from writing. And the entire time I was writing, I was always interacting with people, collaborating with teams, interviewing clients. And so I had constantly been honing that social skill as well. But to go out into the world and not be on a computer for 4 to 5 hours seems like it's just a beautiful way to break up my day now.
Mm.
And even being off my phone.
Because what another very big reality is, right, is that you said like you're not going to be making as much money, right? Like using your hands and going out
Yeah.
into into a restaurant or bakery, right, is going to give some other benefits, but you're also having to acknowledge that you're going to live on less.
Yes. And I've been practicing living on less more and more for a long time, right? Since my husband moved out, since the economy changed a few years ago. It's been a slow decline of how far my money will go.
Hmm.
And so I am looking for ways to simplify my life. And I feel fortunate though that in a sense I don't live extravagantly. I can cut things out. There are things I don't need. And I've actually got some of this from my mom as well. I remember growing up, we had plenty of money and were financially stable. And at the same time, my mom was very frugal and very good about like saving money and, finding the thing that was cheapest. And sometimes we would go on a spending freeze and she would put spending freeze in big block letters on the refrigerator. And, we weren't spending the money, she was. So it was really her making the decision or not, or saying yes or no to us. But she was so good at it because she was such a like natural salesperson that like even if she had to say no about something, she would just point out the benefit of not getting it, or she like spun it very well, right? So very
Hmm.
rarely were we disappointed about anything. And yes, this is different, and the I think one of the biggest lessons about money that I've probably learned in the last 5 years is that at first when we started saving more money, I thought, oh, okay, well we'll just go through our credit card and see, well, where are we overspending, right? And you think I just thought, oh, it's going to be like actually fun to like go through and be like, nope, we just can't do that anymore. Nope, we can't do that anymore. This is very much like, um, but this was exceedingly difficult because nothing we were doing seemed extravagant at all.
Hmm.
Like it was in each instance we needed to be spending less, right? So when you go out to eat, you go to a different restaurant. When you order less. When you have a drink, you have one instead of three. Like it's just it's in every little bit of how you go through life that needs to be scaled back. And it's not that I've never done this before. I've definitely had phases where like, oh, we're not making as much money. Oh, we're making more money. And there's been an ebb and flow. But this is very humbling to think, okay, what's the least amount of money I need a month to remain healthy and be a good mom and feel nourished, and feel comfortable.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I'm trying to figure that out now.
Do you feel happier with less money than you did with more money?
Now I am a little bit less anxious about money
Hmm.
because I am more focused on the now. My expectations have changed. And so in that there is more ease in a sense because I don't my expectations are lower about what I can do, what I can buy. And I also, to the point I made about having fun with Kevin, is that I know that we don't need to go spend a lot of money to have fun.
I definitely witnessed your anxiety about money go down, even though the amount of money
Mm,
that you have has also gone down.
mm,
And I've also
mm-hmm.
seen your like joy in life, for your joy for life, have gone way up, even as your money's gone down. But that's also because your anxiety has gone down.
Mm-hmm.
And what it feels like is you're now focusing really like you're going more and more inward, and the money is part of this journey of going more and more inward as to what is the things that really matter to you, that really bring you joy. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
my guess is if you didn't have to, if you weren't evaluating the money piece, right, you wouldn't be distilling down to the purest essence of what makes you, like, what brings you happiness and joy.
Yes. And I think what rises in me when you're saying that is that idea of the mass consumption, right? That all of us do on a regular basis. I wonder when was it that I stopped going to TJ Maxx and Marshalls in the mall every weekend and doing something different? Because
Mm.
there was that shift, like maybe it was like 10 years ago, where I used to just sort of be a continuous shopper, not an extravagant shopper, but a continuous shopper.
Mm-hmm.
I would just go and get stuff. And then the next week I would take some of that stuff back and I'd get more stuff. And like that was just kind of a regular thing. I got a lot of pleasure out of the shopping process and out of acquiring new things. And that has gone down dramatically. And I'm love minimizing. I'm also a really good purger. So like I love getting rid of shit and like just continuing the flow out of the house. Makes me like so happy to even think about like going through a big bin and just like organizing it and tossing half of it. Yeah. And so as Christmas comes around, right, every year, and I think about how my mom spoiled me and got me so many things for Christmas, and I want to get Scarlett so many things for Christmas, and it's so exciting to me, like the buying process and the thoughtfulness and like how I choose the gifts, that I can really get caught up in that. And I noticed this year that I was at the mall. I was at the mall the day after Christmas, as my daughter and I had some things to return. And it was so busy at the fucking mall. You would think it was the day before Christmas. Like, I was like, oh my God, everyone you just opened all of these gifts. Like, but of course I was there. Like, how could I judge them? Like, it was just so out of control. I mean, the ramp to exit the parking garage was interfering with the traffic inside the parking garage. Like, it took us at least 25 minutes to leave the parking garage. And the amount of Christmas stuff, donations at Goodwill, like 3 weeks before Christmas and 3 weeks after Christmas is insane. I mean, it's just like there is so many things in there that have never been opened. And I just thought, wow, this is so crazy. And I'm even a thrift shopper already. Like I'm already doing it the right way. And still I'm buying too much. And this is something my meditation teacher said recently, where, we get very obsessed with the desire, right? And so we're not looking at this thing over here. We're like, oh, yes, death is awful and like the suffering and like, I know I have to deal with this problem with my husband and like, but if I could just find the right soap dispenser, then I'm sure everything else would be great, right? And there is some obsession I can get caught up in with that.
The one thing that comes up for me, right, as you're sharing that story about the mall, is although I'm not a mall shopper, I can understand that people, and lots of people are on a lower budget now, right? That what makes a lot of sense is go to the mall the day after Christmas because that's where all the sales are. So then you're actually getting to buy the objects for less. So it's also like a strategy of how to make
it
it
is.
farther.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, I just stopped myself from going to ARC after Christmas because I knew everything was going to be on sale. And this is the other thing, is that there is this strange comfort, right, in having a lot of things, right? You have, I have a lot of sweats. I have a lot of sweatshirts. I have a lot of journals. I have a lot of yoga pants. I don't have two. I have 5 pair, right? Do I need 5 pair? No, I really don't. 2 would be fine. I do yoga once a week. Like that's it. And yet there's this comfort in having the mass, because then I think honestly, I like to look at it. And then I like the idea that if I lose one of them, or if one of them gets a stain, I have plenty more, right? And what this ultimately translates to is not caring well for the ones that you have. I mean, there's this really culmination of this story that I probably told on like the 3rd or 4th podcast about being in Bulgaria when I was in the Peace Corps, being this tiny, tiny town, 400 people, desperately needing some mechanical pencils. Such a first world problem. Going to find this general store, which wasn't even a store, it was like a room, and describing this mechanical pencil in my broken Bulgarian, and then being like, oh, I know what you mean. And then going to retrieve a mechanical pencil and handing it to me. And I said, okay, great, I'll take 10. And she's like, no, we just have one. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I have to keep track of this one pencil? Like how's that gonna happen? Right.
Right. And I'm guessing you did.
Right, I had to. Until I could, go to the Capitol in 3 weeks. I want to talk a little bit about my boyfriend and how and what I'm learning, not only from him, and about how much love is possible and how much fun we're having and how much ease and flow there is, but about how much a relationship teaches you about yourself.
Mm.
Because I know we touched on this so many times that while you don't need someone else to be complete, being with another, even whether it's a friend or a romantic relationship, is the best way to learn about yourself. And uh, I believe there's something that I didn't realize was going on with me prior to meeting Kevin, that I thought, oh, I have these flaws and I need to fix them, which is true of everyone and true of me too. And I have been working on my flaws. But I think I more inherently began believing that I had some character flaws based on my last relationships that were irreversible and that were a problem and just, part of my issues. And I think in being with Kevin, I've realized I'm like, oh, those things aren't coming out now.
Mm.
They're just not surfacing. And B, I don't some of the same things that I thought were character flaws because my other partners didn't like them are things that Kevin likes about me. Janelle, even you would just be so thrilled to like, I'm really just not complaining. Like, I just don't think I complain very much. And I'm like constantly like, so, you can always tell me to just like stop complaining, or like I'm saying that to Kevin and he's like, I don't really hear you complaining. Like, I don't really hear you nagging. I don't hear you getting upset. I don't hear you being high maintenance. I don't, all these things that like I, I think I was doing. He's like, I don't really even hear your anxiety coming up, more than a reasonable amount. I don't hear you being unreasonable.
Got it. And it feels like you have done, yes, the work on yourself to like also find your grounding
Yes, I
and
have.
centering within yourself, that some of those things obviously are not coming up, partly because of him, but partly because of you. You're like, oh,
Yes,
I just know myself better now.
correct. And I think also there are some things you get from a particular partner. And it's like, because my nervous system feels settled and grounded in his presence, naturally I have less anxiety, complaining, and worry coming up,
Mm-hmm.
which then makes life more pleasant for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah, just amazing learning and amazing intention in this relationship. It is something I've never experienced before. Not
Well,
not
I
in
know
this
one of the
way.
things in this relationship, so something that I feel like I know about this relationship is that it's impacted your desire to be on the screen, right? Like, so there's something about your guys' relationship that has very little screen time.
Yeah, no, that's true. Across the last, 8, 9 months, we just have never watched a movie and never watched a TV show, and like maybe just like watched a YouTube clip once or twice. And this wasn't an intention in the beginning of our relationship, but we just haven't been drawn to do that together. We both like TV, we both like movies. Like, I'm sure it's something we will eventually enjoy doing together. But us staying off the screen has really benefited our relationship because we're just more attuned to each other instead of
Mm.
like watching some tech. And that has inspired something different as well for me in this new year. And that is really just hitting a wall with tech and saying, okay, wow, how can I stop letting these companies and the phone run my life?
Mm.
I I feel like being on the phone, constantly having it with me, checking it all the time, going back to it for the dopamine hit, looking, just clicking on Instagram, clicking on Facebook. Even if I'm not scrolling, even if I have an intention, it keeps me in this tizzy of activity that makes me feel like I'm being productive when I'm not. And so I have put into some new practices around my phone. I am keeping my phone on a chair in my room instead of next to my bed. Very small change, and yet already feels huge. Like, I'm already in the really good routine habit of doing it. Does it mean that I still don't sometimes get up from my bed and go over to the phone to do something? No, I still do that, but not nearly as much and not nearly as compulsively. I also am trying to commit to having one non phone day a week. That just means that my phone is sitting in my room and I'm still at my computer the whole day. It's really not that different. And yet there is a panic that ensues when I can't find my phone. So that's two. Three, the goal would be to put the phone in the trunk when I get in the car. Really hard to do that. Like, I've probably only done it twice in my life. It's incredibly difficult. It means giving up music and also giving up a map. I don't usually need a map though, so it really shouldn't be a problem, but I'm certainly trying. And then I think a good practice would be to not look at your phone an hour before you go to bed, and not look at your phone an hour after you get up in the morning.
I can relate to those changes on the phone. I did a do the obvious challenge last year with Jamie Wheel, which had to do with like giving up different things or just like noticing your behaviors around different things. And, exercise, eating, meditation, screen time, and addictions. And I was actually like really great at most things except when it came to screen time. And that was like really one of my hardest ones. And his also advice was, 1 hour before bed, 1 hour after you wake up, and actually to get like hardcover books or like books, right? So that you're reading.
Yeah.
And so that still continues to be my nemesis as well. And the little bit that I would add is I've just now realized that with social media, unless I say, oh, I want to go look at a friend, which I'm not typically doing, then whatever's across my feed are all ads and companies and like influencers. They're not people that I know.
Yeah, totally.
Or, or news outlets or something. And so and now that to your point about AI, that not being able to tell the difference between an AI image or an AI video now, generated video, that it's like, oh, is anything I'm even looking at real?
Yeah.
And is there like, should I just get off of social media altogether is a question that I'm like really toying with, even though I do put some content on social media. I don't think I don't even know that that's worth it because no one's going to find it because that's not how the algorithm works anymore. And yeah, I don't have any answers, but it's a big change.
Yeah. And that was the other change I forgot about, that I took Facebook off my phone entirely and Facebook Messenger. I had a huge scroller on Facebook, but I will if something catches my eye. And what I do is I just go to the marketplace and I look for stuff to buy. And so that's off my phone. That's huge. And I actually put Instagram on the last screen on my phone. And I mean, I'm not kidding. It's been a 75% reduction of my time on Instagram. I don't see it. And so I don't go. And so I'm just so thrilled. I didn't really know if that would work. Because I do like Instagram and there are things I like there and there are people I want to see. And yeah, I just over and over, I think the answer I'm looking for is not in my phone.
Bravehearts, I think we should leave on that note that what Andrea has figured out, this is the last time she spoke to you, is that the answer that she's looking for is not in her phone.
Yeah, it's inside here. Thank you, friend. Thank you for this.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful to hear what you're up to and where you're at, and just the courage to like strip down to the essence of who you are and like letting go of every part of your life that you thought was going to look a certain way in order to embrace the change of what's coming.
Yeah. I'm so grateful. So grateful for this time. Grateful for my health. Grateful for you. Grateful for my child. And I know it won't always even be this good. So yeah.
Well, everything changes day to day, but it's all here all the time. That's the thing. It's all of it. The heartbreak, the despair, and the joy and the beauty.
Yeah.
Okay, Bravehearts.
Listening. We love you.
Hey, Bravehearts. Looking for permission? Work with us. We offer Braveheart coaching. Follow us on Instagram. Meet us in real life at a Braveheart conversation. Subscribe to our newsletter. Do all this and more at our website, permissiontobehuman.live.